the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to South Boston Speedway. Tonight, we are here with the Upstate Racing League as they bring you the Eddie's Meat Market 110. I'm telling you what, I'm stuck in the booth with one Kelly Dahl, and I know what he had for dinner, and it is not pleasant. How you doing out there tonight, Kelly?
What do you mean it's not pleasant? You got something wrong with mac and cheese?
Oh, I love the mac and cheese. It's just the smell.
Look,
You didn't have any for me, and now I want
that's
some.
fair. That is fair, but we're now getting set at South Boston. This is going to be definitely an interesting race. It's going to be very tight and close quarters, and I mean that pretty much describes half the races on this calendar. So it's going to be an interesting event, especially with it being the first race of the playoffs, and we'll have to see, or sorry, the chase. We'll have to see what these chase drivers can do here tonight.
Yeah, this first race taking place at South Boston for the chase really could set the tone because the field was a little bit reset. So let's go ahead and take a look at our point standings coming into this one. Bill Martin, winning regular season, comes in with the top seed. He's only got 10 points over 10th place Justin McDuff. So anything could really happen here in these next few races to determine this championship. But I gotta tell you, Bill Martin, so solid so far this year. 7 races, 7 top 5s, 3 wins inside of those top 5s. So man, he's looking solid. Mike Alexander, Justin Fuller, they are right there as well, and Joe Schaefer getting hot when he needs to. So man, it is anyone's game here right now. But Kelly, I don't know how you feel, but this chase has got a lot of potential.
Yeah, and one guy that may kind of get looked over is our defending champion, Steph Marinac, sitting all the way down in 8th. But here's the thing, if you look at him compared to everyone else in the chase, he's got one less start. He had to miss 2 races this season. You only get 1 drop week, so he had to not only use his drop week on one of the races he missed, but he still missed another race and was still able to make it into the chase for the championship. So I wouldn't discount that 24 machine just yet, and we'll have to keep an eye on him over these next few weeks and see what he's going to be able to bring to the chase.
All right, so as qualifying gets underway, Andy Lambert, Dylan Canova making their way out on to the speedway. They're going to be our first set of drivers. Top 16 going straight to the A, everyone else into the LCQ here tonight.
14.894 from Dylan Canova, a little bit faster on his second lap along with Andy Lambert, but Lambert only able to manage a 14.980. So Dylan Canova currently holding on to the fast time of an 8.94, and that's really going to be kind of what we're going to have to keep an eye on. Looking at the practice times, our top drivers, our top about 10 or so, we're into the 0.8. So if you're going to want to be able to make your way up at least towards the front, you're going to have to want that 14 to be followed by that 0.8 instead of a 0.9.
All right, our next group rolling out, the 77 of Jeremy Watkins, 99 of Justin Rigsby, and Matt Eddy in the 87 machine, all out on the speedway.
Let's see what these guys are going to be able to manage on their first laps. Matt Eddy coming across the line now. Let's see, he's going to be a 15:08.1, so he's going to have to find a little more speed throughout this second lap. Jeremy Watkins as well, 15:2, and Justin Rigsby at 15:0 as well. So see if these guys can get a little heat in the tires, what they can do with the second lap. Matt Eddy not going to be able to improve his time. Rigsby's going to go a little faster. He's going to move up into second, and Watkins not going to be able to improve either.
Justin Smith in the 45, starting to roll out. So far, it looks like he's the only one in this group. Nope, sorry. That is Wayne McDuff in the 1, also making his way out on the speedway, and Andrew Plank in the 64.
And time's coming across right now for their first laps. Or they're going to be coming around just shortly. Smith crossing the line. He's going to get up to a 15:0. A not bad time from him. That's basically midfield at this moment. Oh, Plank getting all loose, sort of loose on the back straightaway, and he's going to have to abort this second lap, I think. So this second lap is going to be a complete washout for that 64 machine. That's unfortunate. It looked like he was going to have a good drive off the corner, but just kind of lost the back end, and that's going to completely erase that second lap.
Next set of drivers rolling out, the 03 of Speedy Brissett, the 53 of Colin Phillip. I do believe that Brian Rogers going to join them as well in the 12, as Rogers makes his way out onto the speedway. Speedy Brissett in the 03 looking to make another A main as he's going to get loose. Smacks that wall pretty hard. Colin Phillip in the 53, starting his flying lap. Colin Phillip right now in 7th spot.
And Brissett has pulled it down, so he's going to have to abort qualifying entirely after that hit on the wall and essentially can doom himself to having to race in through the LCQ, because his only time was from his outlap, which registers as a 42.2. So no chance that he's going to be able to qualify in with that.
Next group of drivers out on the speedway. Well, that's the 42 of Brett Bartels in that beautiful gold colored machine. He makes his way across the start finish line. He is joined by the 7 of Jeremy Carpenter with the Carpenter's Tax Service. And this time, Brian Rogers is out on the speedway.
Yeah, Bartel's coming across the line for his first lap, and that's a 14:09.49. So I'm going to keep an eye on Bartel's, because we've seen these guys improve their lap times on the second lap. Bartel's now coming off of turn 4. What's he going to be able to do? Can he beat Dylan Canova? No, and 14:09.90 on his second lap, so he does not improve his lap time, but still a 14:09.49 is going to be good enough for second place at the time being. Other drivers that are along with him, Brian Rogers, he was good enough for a 15:008, so that will pretty much get him up into the main event, I believe.
Trey Edson in the 25, making his way out onto the track along with Steph Marinac in a new paint job sporting the Mandalorian. Edson, one of our chase contenders. And Matt McLean in the 88, trying to set his qualifying time. Marinac, another chase contender, as Edson's going to move up into second. And Marinac to the top of the leaderboard with a 14.86, a very fast time. These drivers are going to be getting faster, Kelly, because of how it gets stacked up.
Yeah, I believe it's a rolling average over the last couple weeks. So guys that have been doing well in the last few weeks are going to be coming up later in this qualifying. So these lap times are just going to get faster and faster. Trey Edson wasn't able to go any faster than a 14:09.20. So that's going to put him into third for the moment. Now we got our next group, Jimmy McIntyre, Justin McDuff, and Al Smith Jr. all out there trying to get themselves into the main event.
Now we do have just the top 16 making it in. So everyone below that 16th spot cutoff going to have to go to the LCQ. Jimmy McIntyre up into 4th place, a solid qualifying effort by the 81 machine. Meanwhile, Al Smith just barely holding on to 16th spot for the moment. Justin McDuff in the 20 machine gonna smack the wall. McDuff though does jump up into 7th. Al Smith moving up into 11th place.
That is going to bump our first set of drivers. Wayne McDuff, Jeremy Watkins, and Jay Speedy Brissett. All 3 of those guys will be going to the LCQ and will have to race their way in. They have announced they will be sending a couple drivers home. They have 29 here tonight. Only 26 will make the main event.
AJ Hamill out on the speedway, along with the 13 of Guillaume Fortin and Matthew Barkhouse, Chase contender who came in 2nd place in the point standings. Here we go. We're getting some of our Chase drivers now, kind of getting to the meat and potatoes of this group.
AJ Hamill with a fairly decent time, 14.906. That's going to take 3rd place away. Matthew Barkhouse, though, he's going to go to the top of the board with a 14.810. Pretty much 0.05 of a second faster than anyone else.
The Barkhouse with a very solid qualifying effort.
And Barkhouse may not be in the chase, but he wants to play spoiler here tonight with putting down a very quick lap time, and he wants to show that he still wants to fight for those positions, fight for the best of the rest championship, because these guys that aren't in the chase, they still are fighting for something, because that first top guy that didn't make the chase will get a trophy at the end of the season as well.
So the 98 of Chris Stump rolling around here, coming to the end of pit lane. Looks like Mike Alexander in the 75 going to be joining him as well for this qualifying group. So the 75 begins working his way out onto the speedway.
And Chris Stump is currently our guy that is the best of the rest. He's sitting in 11th in the point standings, about 16 points over AJ Rogers. So Stump just missing out on the chase this year, but still a solid contender for these races. And we'll see what he can do here at South Boston. He comes across for his first timed lap. That is going to come across to be a 14.888. So that's going to take away 3rd place.
So Stump up into 3rd. Mike Alexander right now in 12th spot. Alexander in that 75 machine. All across the start finish line, a 14.905 moves Alexander up into 11th. Stump stays in 3rd. We have our next group of drivers starting to roll out. That is the 11 of Brian Hacker.
Along with Hacker, we're going to see Gareth Gonder and Bill Martin. So a few of our chase contenders here on this run. We'll see where these guys are going to shape up compared to the rest of the field now. Coming through turns 3 and 4, Brian Hacker coming way up the racetrack. So he looks to be focusing on that 2nd lap, as this first lap is going to be a throwaway, a 15.256. This was all about building speed, building temperature in the tires. Bill Martin, he's going to go up into 3rd place, and Gareth Gonder with a 14.911. That's going to get him up towards the front as well.
Gareth Gonder, a rookie, laying down a very good lap here at South Boston in this 181, or I should say 81 machine. Bill Martin, though, up into 3rd with his qualifying effort, so he's solid time so far by that 39 machine. Right now, Justin Rigsby in that 16th spot on the bubble for the moment, if you will. Justin Fuller in the 51, making his way around this speedway. So too is Joe Schaefer, our final 2 drivers to qualify here in this one, Kelly.
Yeah, and 2 very fast drivers that have a chance of taking away the quick time now, coming off of turn 4 for Joe's first timed lap. a 14.793. So that's the first guy to get into the 0.7s. Joe Schaefer, an extremely fast time, and he has come to race tonight.
The Joe Schaefer going to put it on pole with the fastest lap here tonight. Top 16 locked in. Mike Alexander getting by on the skin of his teeth. So we are going to set up for the LCQ. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Arts Barbershop. R&R Auto.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Kabang Energy Candy contains 100% of vitamins B6, B12, and C plus ginseng. And the best part is, no caffeine. Kabang Energy Candy is sold everywhere, including participating Walgreens. Kabang Energy Candy, it's bangalicious.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by M&M Country Store, Dr. Noy's Custom Paint and Diecast, Coach's Corner, Kabang Energy Candy.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we get set for tonight's last chance qualifier. Let's get right into the starting lineup. Justin McDuff, Justin Rigsby rolling off on row number 1. Andy Lambert, Brian Rogers for row 2. Row 3 will be the 96 of Al Smith and Justin Smith. Row 4, Colin Phillip, Matt Eddy. Row 5, Andrew Plank, Jeremy Carpenter. Row number 6 going to be Wayne McDuff and Jeremy Watkins. And then in our final starting spot here tonight, Speedy Brissett in the 03, trying to make it into the A main here tonight. So Kelly, this LCQ gonna fire off? Are you only
just
taking
one lap.
8 drivers?
And just one lap's time. Top 8 will transfer, and then 2 will be brought in as points provisional. So that means 3 of these guys will be sent home, and so this race is going to mean a lot for them.
The lights are out on the Florida Mustang. It's going to peel off toward pit lane, and the green flag comes out. The LCQ for the Eddie's Meat Market 110 is underway. Rigsby to the outside with a very bold move. Made it stick, but Justin McDuff coming right back as he's going to get loose off of turn 4, and that is going to give Rigsby a solid spot in the top spot.
Yeah, Rigsby carried a lot of speed through the high side in turns 1 and 2 on that first lap, and pretty much had the 20 car cleared, and probably could have moved down in front of him, but I thought that was going to cost him staying up high in 3 and 4, but the 20 did spin his tires. Everyone else, though, keeping their cars pretty steady. Not too much in terms of battles for position. We had the 12 of Brian Rogers trying to work the outside, but now we got a bit of a scramble in the back as the 87 works the high line.
Ooh, one car into the wall. Jeremy Carpenter, Wayne McDuff. But we stay green. Wayne McDuff gets rolling. Take another look at this one really quick here. Wayne McDuff and Jeremy Carpenter are going to get together coming off the corner. Both of them crash hard on the front stretch. Carpenter hung up on the wall. But we stay green, 7 laps to go. Justin Rigsby out in front. Justin McDuff in second spot. McDuff, a chase driver, trying to make it into this A main here, Kelly.
Yeah, and speaking of trying to make it into the A main, Andrew Plank holding on to that last transfer position in the 87 of Matt Eddy, trying to catch up to him and find a way around. He's been closing the gap over the last couple laps, but he does not have a lot of time. He needs to get up right there fast and try to make a move before he runs out of laps.
4 laps to go in this LCQ, but we have not had a caution yet. Very quick LCQ, and 110 laps here at South Boston for our main event. That one is going to go very fast as well. And what's going to be really awesome to see, some of these drivers who have done this LCQ going to have a little bit more track time than everyone else. They'll be able to make some moves early on.
Yeah, just a couple laps left in this LCQ last chance qualifier. Justin Rigsby still holding on to this lead, now coming across for the white flag. Just one more time around, Rigsby has to hold off McDuff, and he's got a fair gap too.
Yeah, Rigsby doing a great job in that white and blue fatted calf machine. As he comes off at turn number 4, checkered flag going to wave, and Justin Rigsby going to win the LCQ. McDuff, Lambert, Smith, Rogers, Phillip, Justin Smith, and Andrew Plank all transfer in from the LCQ.
Yes, we'll have to keep our ears open on the radio, see who's going to be moving on in the points. Matt Eddy, Brissett, Watkins, McDuff, and Carpenter all waiting to see if they're going to be part of the 2 guys chosen to move on, or if they're going to be part of the 3 guys that will be going home.
So as we enter into a bit of a warm-up session, we are going to take another break. No one go anywhere, as we're going to be back with our starting lineup right after this.
Bowling brings people together.
Right down the middle. You got it. Uh-oh. Good job.
See what you can do, man.
Wait.
That's a strike right there. Woo! Connect with family and friends. Go bowling.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Kabang Energy Candy contains 100% of vitamins B6, B12, and C, plus ginseng. And the best part is, no caffeine. Kabang Energy Candy is sold everywhere, including participating Walgreens. Kabang Energy Candy, it's bangalicious.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Best Colorful Creations, the official cake supplier of the Upstate Racing League, Carpenter's Tax Service, SUNY's Country Market,
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as our warm-up session continues on here at South Boston. There's about 2 minutes left in this warm-up session. Justin Rigsby winning the LCQ. And Kelly, you have more information about the other 2 drivers.
There are 2 points provisionals. They're going to be the 87 of Matt Eddy and the 7 of Jeremy Carpenter. So unfortunately, Jay Speedy Brissett, Jeremy Watkins, and Wayne McDuff are going to be our 3 drivers that are sent home. They will not be taking part in the Eddie's Meat Market 110.
The tough break for Speedy Brissett in that 0-3. He had a good string going of making the main events, but being sent home early here tonight. But man, I'll tell you what, always fun watching Speedy out on the track.
It's really fun pretty much watching any of these guys. This is a very stacked field and a very exciting field from top to bottom, essentially. And this season really has been a strong field, because with pretty much every league, you'll get a bit of attrition over the season. A lot of drivers will drop out, and usually by this point, we're not really running the LCQs other previous years, but this year we're into the first race of the playoffs, so we're still having guys that have to race their way into the event. So lots of people are still showing up to these events, lots of guys still trying to make this main event, and you really have to be a fast driver to even take the green flag in our main event here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that one of our chase drivers was in the LCQ just goes to show you it is not a done deal anytime you show up to the racetrack.
Yeah, pretty much the only people that are guaranteed are previous champions. So even if you were a chase driver, I mean, they probably get in based on the points, but if you had a couple of chase drivers somehow in the LCQ, there is a chance that we'd send a chase driver home.
All right, we will take one more look at our point standings as we get ready to fire this one off. Bill Martin comes in to this chase as the #1 seed. Mike Alexander, Justin Fuller, Joe Schaefer, Brian Hacker, Guillaume Fortin, AJ Hamill, Steph Marinac, and then Trey Edson and Justin McDuff. All looking to have a solid run here tonight. Their names will be highlighted in blue. As we get ready, let's go ahead and get right into our starting lineup for this one here tonight. On the inside of row #1, due to the 8-car invert, AJ Hamill in the 18 machine. Dylan Canova in the 70 on his outside. Row #2 will be the 98 of Chris Stump and the 39 of Bill Martin. Row 3 will be Steph Marinac in the 24, and then it is Justin Fuller in the 51. Row #4 will be Matthew Barkhouse in the 15 and Joe Schaefer in the 6. Row #5 will be Gareth Godner in the 181 and Guillaume Fortin in the 13.
Our lone rookie in the chase will be rolling off in 11th place. That's a 25 of Trey Edson, and to his outside, the 81 of Jimmy McIntyre Jr. Row #7 sees the 88 of Matt McLean and the 11 of Brian Hacker. Brett Bartels will be rolling off in 15th with Mike Alexander in the 75 to his outside. Justin Rigsby wins the LCQ. He'll be rolling off in 17th with Justin McDuff lining up to his right. And rounding out the top 20 is going to be the 8 of Andy Lambert and the 96 of Al Smith Jr.
Row #11 will be Brian Rogers Jr. And then it is Colin Phillip in the 53. Justin Smith in the 45, Andrew Plank. And then it is Matt Eddy and Jeremy Carpenter, as our grid not showing the exact settings because of the few tweaks we have to do here in iRacing. Matt Eddy, Jeremy Carpenter making it in. Wait, it wasn't Matt Eddy in on points, was it?
It was Matt Eddy in on points, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Whew. I was confused for a moment. I know, you're shocked.
Well, lights are on the pace car. Green flag immediately coming out, and AJ Hamill getting off to a good start. Gonna have to hold off Dylan Canova on his high side, and we saw that outside line work in the LCQ. Is it gonna work in the main event? The 70 gets into the wall, scrubs off a bit of speed, and I think that's gonna allow AJ Hamill to take away with the lead, but Not going to get clear just quite yet. Now clear through the middle of 1 and 2. A little bit of a bump, but they're going to be 3 wide right behind them.
We go on board with the 70 of Dylan Canova as he tries to work over the 18 of AJ Hamill, but Hamill, now he's got that fresh air on the nose of his car. He's trying to open a gap up, and man, that 18 looking solid.
Oh, big crash in the back of the field. Multiple cars involved. Caution not flying. We have Brian Rogers involved. There's still cars coming around, and here comes the lead pack, and they're having to jam on the brakes as we still have cars sideways.
Matthew Barkhouse went for a spin. Justin Rigsby, Brian Rogers, they all brought it to a stop. In the 15, you can see here comes AJ Hamill and everyone trying to scatter around.
They'll have a car stopped on the racetrack as they're trying to get everyone kind of sorted out. There's not a lot of time with everyone still kind of spaced out like this to get your car flipped around, because there really is no opening in the track, as we have a very short track tonight.
Take a look at our race info for tonight's Eddie's Meat Market 110. Beautiful weather, of course, for this one here at South Boston. That's colorful throwback. Top 5 from that one last week: Justin Fuller, Joe Schaefer, Bill Martin, Gareth Connor, and Brian Hacker. Man, what a beautiful, colorful throwback that was last week as well.
Yeah, a lot of great paint schemes, and every season this league does run a throwback, and the Upstate Racing League, these guys know some fantastic painters, and there's even some great painters involved, as Bill Martin is one of our painters, Dr. Noise, and he put out a lot of designs for these guys, and it was a fantastic looking field last week.
All right, so Dylan Canova is able to navigate through the quagmire of cars and had the lead when the yellow came out, so he is out in front. AJ Hamill gonna restart second on this one. Justin Rigsby pulling down to the inside in the 99. Rigsby with some damage on that car. He had taken a hard shot, but still out there, still running. No tires are available here tonight. Everyone gonna have to finish the race on the tires they start. Everyone gonna have enough fuel as well. So pit stops really tonight only for damage.
Well, lights are out on the pace car. We are going to get back to racing shortly. And like I said, Dylan Canova was able to get his way. Oh, actually, they are going to throw the caution, do one more lap around, just kind of give these guys a bit more time to form up the field. As we mentioned, very short track tonight, and there's not a lot of time to do get everyone in line before we finish a full lap, even under caution.
All right, so the lights go out on the Ford Mustang one more time. Kelly, your voice is so beautiful here tonight. Why don't you go ahead and talk us through this one?
Well, I will be glad to do that, KR. So Dylan Canova having control of the field this time. He'll be able to launch basically as soon as that pace car pulls out of the way, and we'll have to see what that 70 car can do. Pace car now down and away, and there goes the 70 of Canova. He's going to get a good start as well behind them. The 6 of Joe Schaefer getting a good launch on that outside, but nowhere for him to go on the first turn. AJ Hamill able to slot down behind the 70, and now going to try to go after the 70 car and get his lead back.
Hamill in the 18 finding himself now in second. Meanwhile, the battle for third has Justin Fuller and Joe Schaefer side by side. Fuller going to come away with that spot as Joe Schaefer able to slot into fourth place. Then we got a side-by-side battle between Bill Martin and Guillaume Fortin, and Guillaume on that inside line, but Bill Martin hanging tough on the outside.
And neither one of them can really go anywhere because Schaefer's running that normal line. Anytime that Martin gets a good launch off the high side, he kind of gets blocked by Schaefer running that line. And then anytime we go into the corner, Guillaume's got the preferred line on the inside, but can't go anywhere with Schaefer in front of them. So now those cars are going to back up just a little bit, and they're still door to door. Neither one of them wanted to give up, as both of these guys are chase contenders. They made a bit of contact throughout these corners, but still pushing hard. A little bit of an advantage for Martin going into turn 3, but Guillaume still trying to keep it even up.
110 laps here at South Boston with 26 cars. Really going to heat up that inside lane, and Bill Martin going to take full advantage of the fact that that inside lane may be starting to lose a little grip, and gets the pass done on the 13. So Bill Martin into 5th, Guillaume in 6th spot.
Our next battle just behind them, we got the 88 and Matt McLean on the inside trying to take away that position from Trey Edson, but we've seen the outside line work tonight. Well, let's see if that 25 is going to be able to do it as well. It carries a lot of speed into 1 and 2. Just behind them as well, Mike Alexander trying to go around Brian Hacker for 11th place. So lots of options for these guys tonight as they're able to work both the inside and the outside lane.
Justin McDuff, a chase contender who had to come from the LCQ, finding himself now in 14th spot. He is working his way forward. Someone who has not been working their way forward, that is the 98 of Chris Stump. He has lost 12 positions since the start of this one. And Chris Stump right now looking to try and start regaining lost ground.
Yeah, Stump is going to have a long road ahead of him as some of these guys are now starting to sort out their battles and to form into that single line on the bottom. But I believe people now know there is that option. You can make the high line work if you can do it just right and kind of pen that other guy down and carry the speed. So we'll see if these guys are going to be brave enough to attempt running the outside line, or if they're going to try to force their way down to the bottom like they have to do at so many of the other tracks we race at this season.
We go to our track racer onboard camera with the 18 of AJ Hamill, who's up in 2nd spot. The 70 of Dylan Canova, your race leader. Nova doing a good job out there so far. They haven't caught up to the tail end of the field yet. It's only a matter of time here at South Boston before it becomes a never-ending conveyor belt.
And we've essentially got a 4-car battle for the lead starting to shape up as Hamill's closely pressured by the 51 of Justin Fuller, and just behind them the 6 of Joe Schaefer Jr. just kind of watching and waiting for his opportunity. Schaefer seems to be running a very calm and consistent line, and compared to Fuller, who's really kind of pitching it into the corners and slowing it up. And I think that will kind of favor Schaefer a little bit more as this race goes on, because I'd assume that Fuller would be kind of manhandling his tires a little bit more and wearing them off, as he's really having to jam on the brakes in these corners.
One thing about this super late model is you have got to have a lot of throttle control, and you really got to be thinking about how you are using the brake, how you're using the throttle. When I first started driving these cars, I was wide open a lot, and I could get through the corner and get back to the throttle and it would stick, but everyone was flying by me. Couldn't figure it out. Then they finally told me, hey, don't go wide open. Just roll through the corner, ease into the throttle. Take your time with this car. It is a tricky car to learn, but once you do, it is a very fast car. You can see right now, 70 and Dylan Canova doing a good job at mastering this super late model.
Yeah, he was a little high through 3 and 4, though. Almost gave an opportunity for that 18 of Hamill to get underneath of him and take away the position. So there's a slight mistake from Canova, and that might force him to work that right front a little bit more. And that's really something you've got to avoid on short track races. You've got to make sure that right front has as much life in it as possible, because that's essentially where all your speed is going to be coming from through these corners. And look how tightly packed this front 4 group are. Through these corners, they're pretty much nose to tail.
Yeah, they are looking very tight. The 39 of Bill Martin, a bit of a gap back to him, but then he has the 13 of Guillaume Fortin all over his back bumper, and then the 24 of Steph Marinac right there as well. So the opening race of the chase right now being led by a driver who isn't even in the chase.
Yeah, Dylan Canova just missing the chase this year due to the fact that he wasn't able to come out to a lot of races. This is only his third start of the season, and he is doing very well. He quickly got himself back up to speed and is now leading this group and leading them in a fairly dominant fashion. He's been leading for quite a while now, about, I'd say, over 30 laps at this point, and he's holding off AJ Hamill very well, and just has to keep it consistent though. If he makes another mistake like he did earlier, and now that Hamill's much closer, he could easily try to get his nose in there and take away that bottom lane.
Brett Bartels in the 42, taking a peek to the inside of the 20 of Justin McDuff. McDuff really starting to use that high lane. You remember a few laps ago I said, hey, 26 cars, 110 laps, this inside lane is going to really start heating up. Some of these drivers already starting to migrate to the high side, and Justin McDuff, one of the first ones to do it, and he is holding off that 42 as he is going way high here, trying to work in that upper lane.
Yeah, but I don't think the upper lane is going to be as dominant as it would be on the older tires, because these newer tires aren't really affected by the heat as much. But now seeing it, that 20 is able to work the high line, and now the 98 right behind them, he sees the 20 go on the high side and says, well, maybe I'll give that a shot. He actually nearly loses it on the marbles, and he's going way up high on the racetrack, trying to kind of arc it down, but I think he's just too high in the corners and is losing a little bit too much ground up there. Now he's bringing it down a little lower, able to carry a bit more speed through the corners.
Al Smith in the 96 machine was able to squeeze by Stump as he tried to figure out how to run the high side. So for the moment, the 96 into 15th spot. Al Smith has gained a few positions. We do have a car run down to the inside. That is Gareth Gonder in the 81, and the yellow flag is going to come out. Let's take a look at what happened to the 81 machine here. He goes for a spin. Looks like contact with the 15 and the 45. So Kelly, second caution of the night.
Yeah, and it was surprisingly that it took that long to get our second caution, because last week we were having quite a few cautions at North Wilkesboro, and I was expecting more of the same at this little bull ring, but everyone's been able to kind of keep it nice and tidy for the most part. But unfortunate for Gareth Gonder, they're kind of getting into the rear end of that 15 machine and kind of kicking off that whole deal. So Markhouse able to recover for the most part. I think he doesn't have much damage from that impact, so that 15 car should be able to keep going.
Matthew Barkhouse not having a stellar start here tonight. That's his second incident. And that's just South Boston for you. I think that 15 has just been minding his own business and been getting caught up in things.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for that 15, because he hasn't been the cause of either of these incidents, just kind of been involved. But this caution is going to kind of shake things up a little. We had those top four kind of nose to tail. Now they're going to be able to be set up side by side. Fuller had kind of dropped off from the rest of them, though, or Fuller had kind of pushed Schaefer back and dropped off a little bit from Canova and Hamill. So we'll see what those guys are going to be able to do. But it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that 18 machine and see if he can work the high line around the 70 of Canova.
As the field works its way around slowly here at South Boston, we're on lap 46 of 110. Lights have gone out. This race going very quickly here, Kelly. Our best lap times right around the low 15-second mark, and then under yellow kind of turning the 33-second. So laps click off really quick even under yellow.
Yeah, but here comes the pace car down and away once again. Green flag's out. Good launch from Canova. A fantastic launch from Canova, and not very good for AJ Hamill as he's going to drop back. Going to be even up with Fuller going through 1 and 2 as the field shakes up. And now the 18 are gonna get into the wall on the back straightaway, and that's gonna cost him a lot, as it looks like the 51 might be not quite able to clear the 18 of Hamill, so Fuller still has to work a little bit. And while this is going on, Dylan Canova trying to open up a gap to the rest of the field.
Yeah, that 70 got a clean break on that start, and everyone stacked up pretty much 2 by 2 throughout the rest of the field. Fuller in that 51, not able to seal the deal yet, but the 18, big bobble there. Justin Fuller now solidly into second spot, but AJ Hamill in the 18 still working that outside lane, but the yellow flag going to come out once again.
I'm trying to find which cars was the one that went around, and still not seeing anything quite yet. Look,
McDuff in the 20 going up and over, tumbling, and lands on all 4 tires. Holy cow, McDuff with a wild ride. Let's take another look at this one. The accordion effect going to catch the 20 out, smacks the inside wall, and then ends up on his roof, just going around and around, up and over. So a very tough opening race for a chase contender in Justin McDuff.
Yeah, that all happened a little bit forward as a couple of drivers got into each other. Looks like the 24 and the 39 just, or maybe even the 6 as well, getting involved. We had just a couple drivers, just a light tap off of turn 2. Bill Martin checks up a little bit, and with everyone so tightly packed and no brake lights on these cars, 25 gets into him, then the 81 gets into the 25, and Mike Alexander gets into him, and unfortunately Justin McDuff gets the worst of it, trying to avoid it all, ends up getting into the pit road attenuator after hitting the 75, and just goes over for a little bit of a ride.
So Justin McDuff on pit road. Looks like maybe he might be done here tonight. Not sure.
I believe he's going to be finished, but one thing that happened before that caution came out is the 13 of Guillaume Fortin. He was able to get himself up into 3rd place before the yellow flag waved, so not a great restart for AJ Hamill. He came into that green flag run in 2nd place, is going to come out of the next caution in 4th. Going to be stacked up on the outside of row 2, and hopefully it'll go a bit better because he did not get a good launch when he was starting in 2nd.
All right, so here we go once again. Dylan Canova gonna restart this one on the inside to the outside. Justin Fuller in the 51. Guillaume Fortin in the 13. Gonna try and make the same move that Fuller did on Hamill. And Dylan Canova and Fuller are gonna get together and contact at the front. Huge stack up as one car is going to go up and over again. And that one is going to collect Bill Martin as well. Trey Edson involved in the 25 machine. That one was a wild one.
Yeah, that is a bad wreck. Basically the worst case scenario, really. The entire field is packed up together, and suddenly you've got the leader getting turned sideways into the wall, and that's going to shake up our lead group, because I would assume that the 51 is going to get dinged for that one. The 70 is going to move all the way back as well, and I think the 13 is going to take over the race lead. So Guillaume Fortin might be our new leader depending on the ruling of race control.
Taking several looks at this one, Trey Eddy in the 25. Trey Edson in the 25, really getting a rough shot here of it. So the 70 and the 51 get together at the start, but the 25 gonna climb the wall. And another perfect example of cautions breeding cautions.
Yes, but our next start will be single file because of the caution coming out within 1 lap of the green flag. So we'll have to, it'll kind of change up this next restart. Guillaume is not going to be right alongside Fuller as long as Fuller remains in this position. So he'll have to kind of make the reaction from behind him, and we'll probably lose a little bit of ground. But in the end, I think the leader won't be able to get away as much because the guys behind him won't really be battling going into the first few turns.
So with some of our chase contenders already out of this one, Trey Edson and Justin McDuff sitting, Edson working on his car, McDuff, I believe, pulling his card for tonight. Edson so far has not done that.
The lights are out on the pace car. We're going to get going here shortly. Pace car now down and away. Fuller in control. He's going to get launched off the corner. Everyone's going to be a bit more spaced out on this next restart, as nobody was really running that hard nose to tail after the last incident.
Yeah, a lot of space being given here at South Boston as the green flag has flown once again. And Justin Fuller out in the front. Fuller picking up 3 wins so far this season. And what a feat it would be for him to start his chase off with a race win.
Yeah, be Guillaume Fortin trying to get his win there as he's right behind him. He's also one of our chase contenders. Guillaume Fortin comes into the chase as our number 6 seed, so 7 points back from our leader, Bill Martin. And these guys are starting to open up a bit of a gap to AJ Hamill and the rest of the field. About 0.6 of a second separates Guillaume and AJ Hamill, and only 0.2 between Fuller and Fortin.
Yeah, the 51, the 13, really running very close to each other. And Guillaume gonna try and work over that back bumper of the 51, but Fuller, not one of the drivers here that gets intimidated too easy. It's gonna take a lot for Guillaume to intimidate that 51.
Yeah, and taking a look at their lap times in practice, Fortin was faster than Fuller, but it kind of switched around in qualifying where Fuller was able to run an 8:32 while Fortin was only able to manage a 9:12. But now in the race, these guys are looking to be very evenly matched. Fortin closing up that gap even more, now getting into the bumper of the 51, and now trying to take a look to see where he can make a move. He was trying to take a peek down the inside on turn 3, but nothing there, and we'll have to see if he's going to maybe try to go to the outside here in a couple laps.
That outside might be his only option, as the 51 of Fuller going to do what he can to hit his marks down on that yellow line. That outside lane really starts to work though. Fuller gonna have a hard time making that car 2 lanes wide.
Yeah, Fuller is gonna have to make that car 2 lanes wide though, because Fortin seems to be carrying a lot of speed through these corners. Now actually starting to fall off a little bit, so possible he may just be holding up and looking to see what's going on. But just behind them, looks like Joe Schaefer is going to try to take a look around AJ Hamill, but kind of backed out as soon as he made a peek to that outside line.
Well, as the battle for the race lead continues, Dylan Canova has pulled onto pit road. An unscheduled stop for the 70 machine, who is just involved in that big fracas on the front stretch. Fuller in the 51, the 13 of Guillaume Fortin. They are running 1 and 2, and they're almost about 0.7 seconds ahead of the 18 of AJ Hamill. And Hamill got some damage on the nose of his car. The 6 of Joe Schaefer got a little bit of body damage on his car as well.
And almost nothing separates the 13 and the 51 actually getting into each other in the turns 3 and 4 that time, as Fortin was able to carry a bit more speed than Fuller through the corners. And I think Fortin has got to change his line. He is faster, but it doesn't matter if you're faster. If the guy in front of you is running the exact same line as you, you can't go through them. So Fortin has got to change something up. Either he's got to try to arc off the corner and get to that inside on the straightaway, or he's just got to make the move to the outside, but he can't just keep running the same line.
Gonna take a peek at a little incident here. The 87 machine of Matt Eddy bouncing off the wall. The 81 of Gareth Gonder getting into the 45 of Justin Smith. Everyone kind of stacked up just a little bit there. But the field keeps rolling under green, and Justin Fuller continues to lead.
Yeah, battles throughout the field, but really you got to keep an eye on this front group as we've got two kind of battles shaping up with Fuller going defending 410 and Schaefer trying to get himself around AJ Hamill. Steph Marinac, he's slowly pulling his way back up. He's sitting in 5th place after starting in 5th, but he's still got a bit of ground to make up to catch up to Joe Schaefer, about half a second off of him. As 410 still trying to look for a way around that 51.
So as we ride on board with the 24 of Marinac, you can see Joe Schaefer in the 6 machine just ahead. And Kelly, we talked about how short this track is here at South Boston. In fact, it's so short the blimp here tonight has to fly a little bit lower so that it doesn't look minuscule.
Yeah, you pretty much get on the throttle and then almost immediately you're off the throttle and onto the brake for that next corner, because this is an extremely short track, essentially a little bull ring here. And that 13 is all over the rear bumper of the 51 of Fuller. 410 just still laying on the pressure to that 51. But Fuller, he's been in this situation before, leading a race with another driver trying to knock on the door, but he's able to ignore them and just keep running his line. And 410, as these laps tick down, has got to look for a way around that 51.
Yeah, Guillaume in that 13 machine, working that back bumper over, giving it a little nudge from time to time, but so far that 51 not coming up off that yellow line. And Guillaume also, as you've said, Kelly, they're running the very same line, and that 13 just can't get through the 51 as they are going to make contact. Guillaume got off the throttle there as he bumped into the 51. Both drivers sort it out, but that has allowed the 18 of AJ Hamill to really get to the back bumper.
Yeah, that has closed up this front group a lot, and the 6 is all over the back end of the 18 as Hamill had checked up a little bit more. So it gives Guillaume some space, and that almost got him into some trouble as Schaefer did not have the space to check up and kind of had to use that 18 as a little bit of a helper to slow him down. And that brings 24 of Marinac into this little battle for 3rd place.
So the 24 machine making it a 3-car battle for 3rd, but AJ Hamill holding on to it. Guillaume already closing back in on the back bumper of the 51, showing just how fast that 13 is, but he already gave him 1 bump. We have 24 laps to go. Kelly, you think the next bump is going to be a little bit harsher?
I don't see it really happening. I can't imagine that Guillaume would just flat out dump the 51, but he's got to find a way around him. If it's going to be either the bump and run or if it's going to be a different line, something has got to come from that 13 machine. But it's going to be risky whatever he does do, because you see those 3 other drivers right behind them, the 18, the 6, and the 24. They're all just waiting for their opportunity to advance their positions, and a few of those guys are chase contenders. So Guillaume's going to wonder if he's going to have to just go for to win the battle, or if he needs to hold off and try to win the war in the long term.
Riding on board with the 51 of Fuller as we look out at the back of his race car, Guillaume in that 13. Just doing all he can, trying to find any little bit of space on the track that Fuller maybe won't expect him to be in, but Guillaume quickly running out of time. There are now 19 laps to go.
And like I've been saying, he's got to do something, and maybe he's just waiting for the time to make his move and doesn't want to give that 51 an opportunity to counterattack. But at the same time, that means he'll have less time for him to attack. So that 13's got to start something soon, because those guys behind them, they're not going to be waiting much longer. And I'm imagining that Joe Schaefer would try to make a move on AJ Hamel at some point. Now the 51 is going to go up the racetrack. That's going to allow the opportunity for that 13. He's not going to get enough speed off of turn number 4, and Fuller is going to be able to reclaim the race lead, but that was a good opportunity for Guillaume there.
Almost had it, not quite. So let's take a quick rundown of our chase contenders here. Here's Justin McDuff, Trey Edson are out of this race. And then our next driver who is having some issues in this one, that is Bill Martin. He's a little bit further back in the pack. He is in a 14th spot. Chris Stump just a spot ahead in that 12th position. Mike Alexander in the 75 machine battling with the 81. Jimmy McIntyre and it's Stefan Marinak, Joe Schaefer, AJ Hamel, Guillaume Fortin, and Justin Fuller here in the top 5. So kind of spread out throughout the field, but the top 5 here, all chase contenders, really trying to put on a good opening race for the chase.
And these guys all trying to solidify themselves as championship contenders throughout this chase and wanting to start that off with a good start to the chase. And especially these the guys up front, Fuller and Fortin, both of them going hard at this, and still Fortin trying to find a way around that 51, just kind of giving him a slight nudge to the corners. But now they are going to be catching lap traffic as we get down to within 10 laps to go on this next lap. And this is going to shake things up. Who's going to be able to work the traffic better, and who's going to be able to come away with this win?
All right, so lap traffic with 10 laps to go. Everyone really going to probably try and get out of the way as a 13 drove it in deep and gave a shot to the 51, but Fuller able to hold on to it. But lap traffic already looking like it's moving up to the high side whenever it can here. Next one to go a lap down, that is the 12 of Brian Rogers. Kelly, we got 8 laps left, man.
Yeah, I can't look away from the 51 and the 13. This is our battle for the lead, and any moment one of these guys could try to, or the 13 could try to make a move around the 51 that Bill hasn't been able to find his opportunity. They're coming up again to some lap traffic, so that's going to kind of tighten up the racing surface. Not going to be not really going to allow Guillaume to try to work the high line with that other car there. Now they are going to get by the lap traffic. He's going to try to stay up high and out of the way, but our laps are ticking down, and we're going to see if any of these guys are going to make a move. Looks like Joe Schaefer taking a peek to the outside of AJ Hamel, but he's going to have to slot back into line as there is no grip for him up there.
So Fuller going to have 5 laps to go this time around. Can Guillaume maybe nudge him, do a bump and run, or will Guillaume just wait for Fuller to make a mistake? But I'll tell you what, that 51 all season long, once he has gotten out in front, the mistakes are very few and far between. He is looking to pick up his 4th win of the season now, as he is just about 3 laps away from getting it done here tonight.
Yeah, that would put him as our sole win leader on the season. Right now, he's tied with Bill Martin with 3 wins. With win number 4 tonight, he'd be our winningest driver of the season and would put himself up into the lead of the chase. But Guillaume Fortin trying to play spoiler here. 2 laps to go this time by. Can Fuller hold on?
The Fuller with a mirror full of the 13, Guillaume, knowing that it is all on the line now and really just trying to work over that back bumper as we get the white flag, the final lap, the final time around. Guillaume gonna give him a bump, but does not get him sideways into the final corner, and Fuller in the 51 rolls into the throttle and gets the race win here tonight. Guillaume gonna bring it home in a second, and rounding out the podium is the 18 of AJ Hamel.
And Guillaume Fortin may have knocked in the rear bumper of that 51 machine, but could not find a way around Justin Fuller. Seemed like his car was on rails, even though Fortin was hitting him on the rear end. That 51 stayed planted, was able to consistently get that power down. So some great driving from Justin Fuller to really counteract the attack from Fortin.
All right, so let's go through our finishing results here tonight. Justin Fuller, Guillaume Fortin, AJ Hamill, Joe Schaefer, and Stefan Marinak gonna make up your top 5. Mike Alexander, Matt McLean, Jimmy McIntyre, Brett Bartels, Brian Hacker in the 5 through 10. Then it's Al Smith with a solid run, making his way forward here tonight, gaining quite a few spots. Chris Stump finishing 12th. Bill Martin with a decent recovery effort, going to end up in 13th. 14th goes to Gareth Gonder, and Andy Lambert going to finish in 15th spot. 16th going to Matt Eddy. 17th will be Justin Rigsby, and then 18th Colin Phillip. 19th Brian Rogers, Andrew Plank 20th, 21st Justin Smith, Jeremy Carpenter 22nd, 23rd Matthew Barkhouse, Trey Edson, Dylan Canova, and Justin McZuff going to round out our 26 car field here tonight. So Kelly, I don't know about you, but this is South Boston was a great race.
Yeah, it has definitely been an eventful and wild, crazy race, but we are going to have to catch up here with our top 3 shortly and see what they thought of this race. And I will really want to hear what Justin Fuller has to say and how he was able to hold off Fortin.
To try and move some.
All right, so here we go. Kelly, your wish is my desire. Take it away.
Well, just caught up now with Justin Fuller. Justin, it was definitely not an easy win here tonight, as you were facing a lot of pressure from that 13. And how were you able to hold off Guillaume Fortin?
Honestly, I don't really know. Not really good at this track. I do like it. Got really lucky with some restarts, and Gilliam just he ran me really clean, and can't thank him enough for that. I mentioned it last week in the broadcast. I got handed a win last year. He was the one that got penalized, so appreciate him running me clean there. Just keeping it on the bottom, really, just keeping him behind me. It's so hard to pass at this track, being a single groove. So that's really all it took.
Well, you start off the chase with a win. That's going to put you up into the points lead. How are you feeling about your chances for the rest of this chase?
I mean, we got momentum on our side right now, so that's a positive. That's my 4th win since the 4th race of the season. So 2 in a row. Do like Nashville, so that should be a good one for me as well. I don't know. I have to go back and watch that replay and that restart. I don't know what happened with the 70 there. I know we just kind of fired off, and next thing I know, he was coming across the nose of my car. So I don't know if I came down, he came up. Maybe we did a little bit of both. Maybe there was some net code. I don't really know. So send an apology out to him. That's unfortunate. Send an apology out to the field too. They all got involved in that. So that was kind of terrible. But for South Boston, you can't really ask for much better of a race. I mean, that was a lot of green flag racing. I thought tonight there was going to be, a bunch of yellows, and it never happened. So that was cool.
Well, Justin Fuller able to hold on and survive. Who do you like to thank for your win here tonight?
Yeah, I'll thank all the admins and everybody that works to put this on at Upstate Racing League, Al Smith and that entire group. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. I'll watch it back tomorrow at work. I want to thank Eddie's Meat Market for sponsoring this race. They've been a long-time sponsor of this league. I know that, and it's cool to see them continuing. Thanks, Scott Stenzel with Personal Comfort, better and better, better price. They're my personal sponsor. I say it all the time. I got one of their products, and I love it. So, yeah, looking forward to next week at Nashville, and hopefully we can carry this momentum on and maybe bring home a 4th championship with the Upstate Racing League.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us, Justin. Congratulations once again on your win here tonight, and hopefully we will see you again next week in Nashville.
Thanks, Kelly. Y'all have a good week.
That was Justin Fuller, driver in the number 51, and as mentioned, tonight's race was brought to you by Eddie's Meat Market. Eddie's Meat Market is the home to Eddie's Ring Bologna, and where old-fashioned services can still be found. Located in Croghan, New York, Eddie's Meat Market is the official meat supplier of the Upstate Racing League. And now, going to be moving on down the list. KR, I believe you're caught up with our second place finisher.
I have caught up with our second place finisher, and that is none other than Guillaume. And Guillaume, that 13 machine really tried to wear out the back bumper of the 51, just couldn't quite get it done, but a very solid second place finish here for you tonight.
Yeah, the car felt really great at the end. I think I saved my right front a lot better than Justin, but I didn't want to move him at the end. That's not how I race. I try to race clean everybody in this league because everybody race clean. So I really wanted to pass him clean, but it didn't happen.
Well, that 13 machine with a second place finish to open up the chase here, especially at South Boston, because you did see some of your other chase contenders get into some problems. So as you came in kind of sixth place in this standings, a second place finish here tonight, really going to move you up. How are you feeling about your chances here in these next few races?
I'm feeling pretty good. The only thing I need to work out is qualify because now they're doing points for qualifying. So I didn't get any tonight, so that might be a problem for me. But honestly, to finish second in the first of the chase, I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh man, that 13 machine was solid all night long. A very great effort by you and your crew. Anyone you'd like to thank here tonight?
Yeah, first of all, I need to thank Hugo for spotting me tonight, and also 09 Motorsport and the program guys. They're making me fast every week.
All right, man. Well, nice job out there in the 13. Way to get it done here tonight at South Boston.
Thank you.
All right, and now we're going to move on to our final driver on the podium. That is the man in third place. And Kelly, I believe you have caught up with him.
Yeah, caught up now with the 18 of AJ Hamill. AJ, you caught up in a little bit of a mess on the start of this race. Took a little bit of damage to your car. How did you really feel that it affected your car throughout the rest of the race?
Kelly, I need to have a talk with these iRacing officials. Because whoever was holding that yellow flag threw it a little bit too late, because I'm pretty sure you would have been talking to me first if he hadn't. And I never said that in my life, but I thought I should get it out there. Anyway, I didn't feel the damage. Does it look bad?
It does look like you got at least right now, you got a little bit of damage to that front end.
All right, that
front end is fairly crinkled up.
That could have come in the Canova restart wreck, because I didn't lift much on that one. So, if that's where it came, who knows? Because I also hit the 7 in the first wreck, so I don't know. But to answer your question, I didn't notice it much. Maybe made it a little tighter, but if I felt as fast as I was before, so I guess it couldn't be too bad.
Well, you were with a group that kind of ran away from the rest of the field, and where do you think that top 5 kind of found that speed from?
Well, reading the names, I think those guys always have that speed. The question is where the heck did I find it? And I don't know, but I'm pretty happy that I did. And I know I was holding Joe and Steph up there a little, but it's not like Fuller and G were getting too far away. So heck of a run. I got to be pretty proud of that. I can complain a little, but not too much.
Well, you may say that you don't belong with those names, but you are one of our chase contenders. So I would probably count you among those names. And looking at the rest of the chase, we've got Nashville, Lanier, and Myrtle Beach left. And of those 3 tracks, is anything really kind of jumping out to you, either as a good track or a bad track?
1 probably good and 2 not so good, but South Boston has been awful for me in the past. So, hey, maybe 2021's different. Who knows?
All right, AJ. Well, thank you for coming by and catching up with us, and congratulations once again. But before we let you go, who do you wish to thank for your run tonight?
Hey, yeah. So many people. I got to thank Joe for not getting aggressive with the bumper. He probably could have moved me out the way, but chose not to, which is cool. You and I have not spoken often ever in URL race, meaning I was not in the top 3 at the end of it. So nice of him to not get too aggressive there, and congratulate Fuller on the win. He got the track position and was able to hold on to it after a couple of us had it taken away or gave it away. Arts Barbershop, SLC, say hi to Mom and Dad and Uncle Charlie watching at home. Empire Racing Team, tough luck tonight for Justin. McDuff got caught up in that one of the early wrecks and disappointing start to his chase. I see Steph's up to 5th. Not sure what happened to Chris and Andy, but thank those guys for coming out and being encouraging. Thanks to you and KR and Turn 3 and Al. Let's thank Al and Rodney. Don't forget Rodney up there in the booth doing a thankless job. I don't do this much. I got to get all my words in.
All right, AJ. Well, hopefully in the future you'll become a bit more accustomed to speaking with us here. As hopefully you will be back up in the top 3 once again, and maybe it'll be next week at Nashville.
All right. If I do, you bring that mac and cheese, though.
I will make sure I'll bring an extra. Then I guess I need to bring 2 extra boxes now because KR has been bugging me for some as well.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, that's AJ Hamill, driver of the 18, our 3rd place finisher here tonight. And KR, definitely an eventful race.
Yeah, South Boston. We talked about being a very short track. A lot of action for the size of this speedway, but Justin Fuller comes away with the race win. Guillaume Fortin and AJ Hamill all kicking off their chase as good as they can. And Kelly, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for next week and the rest of this chase battle.
Yeah, I am definitely excited for Nashville. I don't really know too much about that track. I haven't watched any of the races there yet since it has come to iRacing, but it is a fairly popular track among these short track drivers, especially for the late models and super late models. So there's been a few guys that have been looking forward to this race, and hopefully it'll really live up to expectations.
Yeah, and just 3 weeks left in this season. We do have 4 races, though. Our final race, February 4th, that is going to be a doubleheader, and that is when we crown a champion at Myrtle Beach. So until next week, guys, at Nashville, thank you very much for joining us. And Kelly, why don't you sign us out?
Well, on behalf of everyone here at the Upstate Racing League and Turn 3 Racing Network, we'd like to thank you so much for coming out and watching with us tonight. Hopefully you will be back next week at the same time for the Carpenters Tax Service 100. So until next week, you guys have a good night, and we'll see you then.
The Upstate Racing League Season 10 on the Turn 3 Racing Network is brought to you by Eddie's Meat Market. Nobody beats Eddie's Meat. Hanson Starter Shop. Racing Designs. CEG Dealer School. Train, play, consult.